Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another company involved in the Canadian MJ space. The name of the company is Hexo Corporation. However, they're a little bit larger scale than some of the other companies we've looked at on this channel. Now I'm really excited about Hexo for a number of reasons. They've come out with some big acquisition news in the last couple of weeks. They've expanded into the United States, and they're showing really strong revenue growth quarter over quarter and year over year. So I wanted to take a deep dive on this company, let you guys know my thoughts, and talk about some of this recent news that has just come out in the last few weeks here. Now before we get into it, please take a second to smash that like button. It's 100% free to do. It really helps both me and the channel out in a big way. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding any shares of Hexo, what you think of this analysis, and what you think of their recent news. Now, I will let you guys know I currently do not hold any shares of Hexo, but this is definitely one that I've added to my watch list, and hopefully this video is going to show you exactly why that is. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and get into today's video. Okay guys, that's right. So today we're going to be taking a look at Hexo Corp. Now this is an MJ play here in Canada. This one's more of a mid cap, so they're sitting right now just under $1 billion market cap. Now as you know, on this channel we've talked a lot about the small cap penny stocks in this space, and Hexo's actually made a series of big recent announcements and acquisitions that are really related to the small cap space as well. So I wanted to do a deep dive on this company for you, give you an update on their business model, some of the acquisition news that they've had, and some of their expansion plans into the States and Europe. So I'm really excited to talk about this one, you guys, and I hope that you get some value out of this video. Now before we jump into the company website and some of the news articles, I wanted to bring up the actual chart on Hexo itself. So we're looking at a 6-month here. You can see they had that strength in early February that we saw across the sector. They actually were able to get just over $13 a share at that point in time. And since then, they've traded down considerably. They're now sitting in the $7 Canadian range. And as of close on Friday, they were sitting at $7.03 Canadian. Now, Monday is a holiday here in Canada, so the Canadian exchange isn't open. But if we pop over to the US listing here, same ticker symbol, so HEXO. And this actually trades on the New York Stock Exchange. You can see they're at $5.88 US. And as of today, they're pretty much flat, up 3 cents a share. Now, in terms of US dollars, they're sitting at about 728 million US, which equates to the 861 million we see on the Canadian side here. Now, what's really interesting about Hexo is if you actually zoom out to a 5-year, and we look a couple years back on this chart, back in April of 2019, this company was actually trading near $42 a share. Now, they've had a number of things happen over the last couple of years. They've diluted their share count considerably and issued new shares as part of some of these acquisitions and in order to raise capital. So it's not necessarily comparing the company it was 2 years ago to today's company. However, it is interesting that this at one point in time was a premium Canadian MJ play, trading in the high 30s even back in 2018, and then all the way up to those low 40s that we saw in 2019. So compared to those prices a few years ago, you guys, the $7 is starting to look very attractive as an entry point in this company. So if we jump over to the Hexo website here, I wanted to just give a quick dive on their company history. So Hexo Corp is an award-winning consumer packaged goods MJ company that creates and distributes innovative products to serve the global MJ market. So again, we see that CPG or consumer packaged goods theme. This is the area of this industry that I'm extremely bullish on, you guys. And I think it's the companies that are really able to excel and master this space that are going to come out ahead in the long run. The company serves the Canadian adult use market under its Hexo, Hexo Plus, Up, Original Stash, and Bake Sale brands, which we're going to look at in a second here, and the medical market here in Canada through the Hexo Medical MJ brand. As one of the largest LPs or licensed producers in Canada, Hexo Corp operates with 2 million square feet of facilities, primarily in Ontario and Quebec. Now we're going to look at some of their expansion plans. They actually just released news about their new production facility in Colorado, so things have changed a little bit since this paragraph was put together, but the core of their operations really is still in Eastern Canada. Now Hexo was incorporated in 2013, so they have been around for some time, and at that point they were actually called the Hydropothecary Corporation. The company was created initially to meet the needs of the Canadian medical MJ market, and they've now branched out and they're really looking at that recreational space as the next opportunity. With the advent of the legalized market in 2018, the company became Hexo Corp for both adult use recreational and the medical market here in Canada. And I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the company name change. Hexo Corp is a lot easier to say and a lot more catchy than Hydropothecary Corporation, so well done on management for making that call. So to kick things off here, you guys, I wanted to talk about the leadership team, primarily Sebastian St. Louis, who's the CEO and co-founder of this company. Now, I love it when I find companies where the founder or co-founder is still in charge, because I really think they have an invested interest and they take care of the company in a way that new leadership often can't. And we've seen this with a lot of the biggest tech companies in the United States, you guys. When they're founder-led, a lot of times they really do outperform the competition. So that's great to see here. Sebastian also has an MBA in finance, a degree in economics, and was the CFO of a major manufacturing firm before joining Hexo. So he's got a very good background in terms of education and practical experience. So I'm really excited to see he's still at the helm and he's got this powerhouse leadership team around him. So now we're going to start talking about Hexo itself. We're going to look at their Q2 results here, which was their most recent quarter that came out. We're then going to look at their product portfolio, some of their operations, and then get into the recent news articles that have just come out in the last couple of weeks. So I'll go through this quickly. Now, some of these numbers are going to look a little bit different as they fold in some of these new acquisitions. Obviously, they're going to start to see additional revenue from folding in these other businesses. But as it stands in Q2, they came out with record net revenue of just about $33 million, which was up 94% compared to Q2 of 2020. They posted their 7th sequential quarter of adjusted EBITDA improvement. We've talked about adjusted EBITDA in some of these other presentations, you guys. It is very difficult to compare companies because the way they report adjusted EBITDA is not consistent. But what I do like to see is continual adjusted EBITDA improvement within the same company, because generally they do keep their accounting treatments the same within the organization. So that's great to see. On that note, it was actually a positive adjusted EBITDA for Q2 of 2021. And they maintained a number one position in beverages. Now they have a major beverage agreement with Molson Coors, and we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit more detail as we get into their product portfolio. So this is an overview of their brand portfolio and some of the different products that they offer. So you can see very well diversified in the flower space, the concentrates, the vapes, the edibles, and specifically in the drink space down here. So you can see a very wide product offering compared to any of the other companies that we've looked at in the drink space. Now, similar to a lot of the other operators in the MJ space, Hexo has really branched out and created multiple different product lines to appeal to different segments of the market. So we're going to quickly take a look at the different brands that Hexo currently operates. So first and foremost is their actual Hexo brand itself. This is a mid-price offering with mid-range THC potency. So you can see between 17 to 20% THC. They've got national distribution, but they're focused on regional execution with this brand. So you can see some of the highlights in Quebec here they call out specifically, with Helios being the 4th best-selling SKU in the dried flower category, the Hexo brand holding 74% share of the hash market between October and December 2020, 28% of the dried flower market for that same time period, and 27% of the overall market share in Quebec for those 3 months at the end of 2020. So very strong performance in Quebec. And as we've talked about in some of my other videos, Quebec is traditionally one of the hardest provinces to break into. So it's excellent to see that Hexo, number one, is available there, and number two, has such a strong brand following and performance in that market. Now they also offer the Hexo Plus brand. As you can imagine, or as the Plus name implies, this is a slightly higher price point with slightly higher THC potency. So you can see now they're getting up into the mid to high 20s, 20 to 27% THC, and this is only available in Quebec. So that is definitely one thing to take note of. So after the Hexo and Hexo Plus brands, they've now got their original stash. This is really their value proposition. I don't want to say low end, but it's really for cost conscious consumers. They've got THC ranging anywhere from 17 to 26%, so still very potent and strong stuff. It's nationally available, but this is really going after consumers who are looking for a good bang for their buck. And keeping with that theme, this was actually the first brand, so they got first mover advantage to take advantage of the full 1 ounce or 28 gram value bag format, which was originally launched in October of 2019. So this is a very smart move, you guys. A lot of the companies that I follow have really been criticized by their customers for not offering large format products. And these large format offerings are really where we're seeing a lot of other companies start to shift their focus. So I think it's great to see that Hexo was able to capitalize and take advantage of this as the first entrance into the Canadian market in this size and format. Next, we have their Up brand. So again, this is a higher priced, higher potency product. Now this is available nationally, excluding Quebec. So in Quebec, you have the Hexo Plus offering. Every other province in Canada, you've got the Up offering. Essentially very comparable products with slightly different branding. Now what's interesting with Up is they've actually given a customer guarantee of at least 20% or higher THC. They've got a number of very strong performing SKUs in Ontario. So Northern Berry, 3rd best selling SKU, Ghost Train Haze, 7th best selling SKU, Cold Creek Kush, 6th best selling SKU. So very popular products. And then you can see on the West Coast here, the brands are still performing well. They're in the top 20, but not to the same extent that they are on the East Coast or the eastern side of Canada. And I think that really has to do with where this company is based and where they operate out of. But it is good to see that they still have a presence and they still have brand awareness in BC and Alberta. So Bake Sale is their next brand. It's actually positioned as an extra value brand, so very discount prices. And this brand is actually designed for people who are looking to incorporate MJ into their cooking or baking. So this isn't necessarily meant for smoking. This is actually for people who, as Hexo say, want to experiment in the kitchen with their stash. So again, a very unique offering here and something that we really haven't seen with any of the other companies that I've followed on this channel. And finally here, you guys, we're going to talk about their actual drink brand. So this is the #1 performing MJ infused drink in Canada, and it's actually branded under the Truss Beverage Company, which is really a partnership between Molson Coors, which is one of the biggest alcoholic and beer brands in all of North America, and Hexo. So they've partnered up to really play to their strengths and bring MJ infused beverages to the North American market. Now they've launched in Canada, they've just recently launched in Colorado as well, which we're going to look at in a second here. But this is very exciting for me, you guys, as a potential investor in Hexo. So they actually estimate that the North American market for MJ infused beverages is expected to be about $1.6 billion by 2026, with a global market of approximately $5 billion by 2026. So very big opportunity here. And this is one of the largest partnerships that we've seen in this sector to date. And if we actually take a look at the Truss beverage or brand performance here in Canada, it really is quite impressive, you guys. So in Ontario, they're commanding about 35% of the beverage market. In Quebec, they've got nearly 60% market share. Atlantic Canada's up around 45% share in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And on the West Coast here, slightly lower at 41% share in both Alberta and BC. So again, extremely strong brand recognition and loyal customer base that are going back and purchasing this stuff over and over. Now, I've never tried any of these beverages myself. I actually have one of the Valens Base Camp offerings in my fridge downstairs that I've yet to try. But I personally feel like the beverage space is really going to be a huge source of growth for the MJ industry and really going to shift people's consumption habits away from traditional alcohol or beer type of beverages. Now, in terms of distribution, you can see it's nationally available in Canada and Colorado, like I mentioned. So it's great to see that they already have a presence in the United States as well. So now that we've looked at Hexo's various products and brands that they offer, I wanted to take a look at their actual operations themselves. So they've got 4 facilities right now here in Canada at the time this presentation was put together. Now again, some of the acquisition activity is going to change how this looks, but aside from that, they've got a 1.3 million square foot facility located in Quebec. So absolutely massive scale, you guys. This is greenhouse cultivation, advanced automated manufacturing. So that's really what serves that Quebec market. Then they've got 3 facilities in Ontario. So they've got a 912,000 square foot processing and manufacturing facility in Belleville, Ontario. They've also got a distribution hub, which really services the Ontario market, along with product research and development on site. And then they have 2 smaller facilities, about 14,000 square feet apiece. One of them's a research lab for development of edible products, and one of them's actually genetics and breeding laboratory. So again, very forward thinking here, you guys, and really putting effort and attention on bringing future products to market. Now, in terms of their overall cultivation capacity, again, prior to some of this acquisition activity, they were sitting at an annualized run rate of about 90,000 kilograms. And we're going to actually see in a second here that this number is now up closer to the 110,000 kilogram with some of these additional facilities that they've purchased. So this is a deeper look at their Belleville facility, which is state-of-the-art, fully licensed for sale of advanced products, so 2.0, 3.0 derivatives. They're located on one of Canada's major shipping highways for easy distribution, and they've actually allocated just about 185,000 square feet of this facility to the Trust Beverage operations. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit, you guys, and talk about some of the more recent developments or announcements from Hexo. So there's 3 specific articles that I wanted to discuss in more detail. The first is actually from the middle of February here. So this came out February 16th, and this is talking about Hexo actually acquiring the Zenabis MJ company for $235 million. Now, what this is really going to do, you guys, is number one, it's going to increase their revenue, increase their annual capacity, and it's going to give them exposure to the European market. So if we jump back over to the Hexo website here, you can see that there's really 3 major goals of this acquisition. So number one, it's really going to catapult Hexo into a top 3 position in terms of licensed producers here in Canada with annualized pro forma revenue, so between the 2 companies combined, of about $150 million a year. Secondly, which I referred to on the last tab, it's going to give international exposure. So as discussed, they're already offering beverages under the Trust brand in the United States in Colorado. And the Zenabis brand actually gives them an established EU certified facility so they can now start to distribute their products to the European market as well. And the final point here, you guys, is this is actually going to expand their production capacity to that 110,000 kilogram per year level by combining their labs, greenhouses, and top indoor production facilities, which is again going to give them the scale that's required to become one of the major players in this market. So this chart really shows how the Hexo Zenabis combination stacks up to some of the other big players in this space. So Aphria and Tilray, you can see, are definitely the top dog with current quarter revenue of about $100 million. Canopy comes in at about $59 million, with Hexo Zenabis coming in now at 56. So you can see they're in that top 3 position, very close to Canopy, with much higher quarter over quarter growth coming in at about 25% compared to about 5% for both Aphria and Canopy. Now, in terms of the actual transaction details, Zenabis shareholders are going to receive 0.01772 shares of Hexo for each Zenabis share that they owned, and that actually represents about a 19% premium for the Zenabis shareholders based on their 20-day volume weighted average price. So not quite the same type of premium we saw with Canopy's acquisition of Supreme, but still very healthy 20% return for Zenabis shareholders. And as mentioned in some of my other videos, you guys, I think a lot of these big players are really going to start snatching up a lot of these smaller cap penny stock operators as the industry starts to consolidate here in Canada. Now, one other chart I wanted to show you guys quickly is actually the ratio of market cap to the last 12 months of net revenue for each one of these companies. So you can see Hexo is actually trading at about a 9.9 premium in terms of market cap to their last 12 months of net revenue, whereas some of the other companies that we've talked about on this channel, so T-God, the Green Organic Dutchman, is trading just over 16 time multiple, Canopy is trading at a 38 multiple, and Kronos is actually leading the pack, trading at 120 times last 12 month revenue. So you can really see in terms of value for your money or value for your investment that Hexo does start to look pretty attractive based on these multiples and compared to some of the other big dogs in this space. So next up, you guys, is actually Hexo's announcement for their first US production facility, which is going to be a 50,000 square foot facility located in northern Colorado. Now this makes sense because Hexo is really seeing Colorado as their entry point into the bigger United States market, and they're going to use this as a hub for a lot of their CPG or consumer packaged goods, which are going to be branded under the Powered by Hexo banner. So I'm really excited about this. As many of you know, I think the US is really where you need to be in terms of the MJ industry moving forward. So it's great to see that Hexo is number one, already selling their drinks there under the Trust brand. Now they're opening up a production facility to really give them a firm foothold in this market. And I think really this is just the start of the acquisition or the expansion that Hexo is going to do over the next couple of years in the United States. And last but definitely not least, you guys, this just came out on Monday, May 17th, so very recently. Hexo is now acquiring another producer here in Canada, 48 North, in a $50 million all-stock deal. So very similar to what we saw with the Zenabis deal, you guys. They're actually offering Hexo shares in exchange for 48 North shares. They paid approximately 20% premium for this company, and the details are as follows. So 48 North shareholders are actually going to receive 0.02366 Hexo shares for each 48 North share that they own. You can see here it's about a 20% premium based on the 10-day volume weighted average price of 48 North common shares. So again, very similar premium to what we saw with Zenabis and substantially cheaper than what we've seen with some of the other acquisitions in this space recently with other companies. Now I did want to just quickly jump over to the 48 North website and show you guys some of their product offerings. They have a very unique and very strong brand that I think is going to complement the Hexo brand portfolio really nicely here. So you can see they offer traditional flower, pre-rolls, vapes, topicals, bath products, and one that was unique to this company that I haven't seen with any others in this space is actually an intimacy offering. So it really does seem, you guys, that they're coming up with endless different products that can be made from THC and MJ derivatives. And I think it's going to be really exciting over the next couple of years to see the different products that these companies come out with. So to wrap things up, you guys, I think Hexo is definitely one that you want to keep an eye on here in Canada. I really like the fact that they're already expanding into the United States. They've made a number of high-profile acquisitions in the last couple of months, and I feel like they've got a really good deal on a lot of these companies. Their performance and their revenue profile compared to some of the other big players in the MJ industry really is quite compelling, and their share price has been beaten up considerably over the last couple of years. So the way I'm looking at this, you guys, is you're getting in at a very attractive price point on the heels of some big news and some big announcements. They've got that Molson Coors partnership, which I think really is going to come in handy as they expand across North America and even into some of these other international markets. And for me, you guys, it really does appear that Hexo offers a great risk to reward ratio. So as mentioned, this is one that I don't currently own. I am looking to get some exposure to some of these bigger players and diversify out from my penny stock holdings in the MJ space. So for me, Hexo is definitely top of mind and on my active watch list. So as always, you guys, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this analysis, if you currently hold shares of Hexo Corp, and your thoughts on this recent acquisition and news that the company's put out. If you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, please take a second to do so. And before you go, make sure you smash that like button. It's 100% free to do, and it really does help both the channel and myself out in a big way. On a final note, you guys, make sure you have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for watching.